Hello, so in this one I'm going to be going through learning how to do a planometric of this Duplo brick. So previously we worked on an isometric and now we're going to be doing a planometric. So things you'll need for this one is a circle template, a 45-degree ruler, set square, and obviously your item that you're going to be drawing. So these are the only things I really need, as well as I'm using a drafting machine right now. So a drafting machine just allows me to have everything as parallel as possible. I'm just going to set up my ruler just across the bottom here, just so you can just see in view, and we can go ahead and work on it. So what I like to do, in this case, this item is quite small, so the best thing about this is that I don't need to move this ruler much at all. I just simply lock it down and it's right there. The least amount of movement across the page, the better, because it keeps the drawing nice and clean. So let's go through this now. I'm going to be using a slightly darker lead today, because if I use a 2H on the document camera, it tends to be difficult to see what I'm doing on the video itself. So have a nice sharp pencil. You should be using a 2H pencil. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to put a little dot right where our center point is for our object, and we're going to draw a line out from there. So hopefully you can see that. Just make it out. I might make it a little bit darker, so when the video compresses a little bit, you'll see a little bit better. Okay, and then you spin this around so it's at 90 degrees. Now I haven't done any measurement yet. I'm just simply drawing in the base understanding there of the object. Now you notice that I've drawn larger, right? I like to draw beyond the extents because at times you tend to need that guideline, okay? So there we go. All right, so let's measure this. For memory, this is 31 mil, and it is 31 millimeters. So we're going to measure up here, 31 millimeters, and we're going to put a dot just there. And we also need to measure here as well. I need to bring this ruler down a little bit. I've drawn a little bit too, there we go, too close to that edge there. And I need to also mark out 31 from here to here as well. In fact, the height is actually less. It was 19, wasn't it? Yeah, it was 19 mil. So this here is 19 mil, and this here is 31. Okay, so I'm going to measure here as well. You see, I make mistakes as well. That's why you need to keep on measuring and just checking to see if all your measurements are accurate. There we go. So we have here one point here, another point here, another point there. That means now we can actually create our box. So let's go through that now. So here we have our 19 measurement just there, and we're going to draw our faint line up. We go to 90 degrees. Now remember that this square here is a 45-degree angle. Make sure it's 45 degrees. That's planometric. Planometric is so that you can look into the object. Okay, so you see that I'm drawing beyond my bounds as a form of habit. Okay, you notice I'm not drawing quite too heavy at this stage in time. I'm drawing a little bit heavier than normal. Right, you should be drawing it as though you can just see it on your page. That's why you should be using a 2H pencil. Okay, so that is our basic box. And I'm just going to use an eraser now. Now the eraser that you need to be using should be a PVC-free eraser. If you use a PVC style eraser, a cheap eraser, they smudge the lead as opposed to erasing it. This one here erases very nicely, okay, and quite easily. So I'm just going to clean that up a little bit, because I actually really didn't need that line. Okay, so now looking at this object here, I note that these 4 lines here should be the dark, because they're final lines, okay? So I'll make those darker now. Nice and dark. And you notice too that as much as possible I lift the ruler up off the page, because as I go and the ruler goes across the page, it collects lead underneath the square, and then it smudges across on the page, because cartridge paper, for example, has texture to it, right? So you see here, these are absolute final lines, yeah? Okay, so you notice too that I've left these lines here nice and light, because they're not final lines yet. The reason for that is that we have these tabs here. Okay, so these tabs, I'm just going to get a metal ruler, because the metal rulers allow you to take a measurement from absolute zero on the edge. All other rulers don't. They have a little bit of a lip there, yeah? Okay, so let's measure how high this is. And it's going to be 5 mil. Okay, and from here to here, from the center point of that to this end here, it is a measurement of 7 mil. So let's measure all this, okay? So what we're going to do here, just similar to what we did with the isometric, is that we go from 0 here and we put a dot at the 7 mil mark, and we have here another dot at the 7 mil mark there, and we need to do the same on the other side, because it's a symmetrical object. And I've measured it before anyways in the previous video. And we did the isometric. Okay, so these are our dots there as a guideline, like a bit of a grid system for where the center of our circle is going to be. So let's do this now. I'm just going to draw a nice faint line across, so you can just make that out. And I also have another faint line going across there. I might make it a little bit darker so you can see it when the video is compressed a little bit. Okay, hopefully that's better now. And then I'll spin this around and do the same on the other side. Okay. Now, for those who are experienced, you don't have to have a line directly from this point here and that point there, or even the center there. You just need to do the cross. Okay. So next up, we need to find out what's circled. Now we're going to be doing the base of the tab, and from memory, the tab dimension is 10 millimeters. So we go over to our circle template. So we don't use an ellipse template in planometric drawing for the top anyways, right? We still use a different type of an ellipse for the side. If you have a drill hole going through the Duplo brick, you still need to use a different ellipse. But we'll get into that in another video. So for the top of a planometric drawing, you use a normal standard circle template. So we're going to go over to 10 here, and we're going to spin this around till this matches up with the lines there. So just do the best you can with it. Okay, so there we have it there, and I'm going to draw just a half circle, okay? All right, so just the half there. Cool. I'm going to do the same thing for this one as well. This circle template doesn't have really nice guidelines. Not really the best one. Okay, and we can draw in that line there, yeah? If you want to be nice and accurate with it, you get your, a little bit more accurate with it, you get your ruler here and you draw a faint line across, and it tells you where you can stop your final line, okay? So there we have it there, and I might put a cross in here so we can actually get it a little bit more accurate. The more guidelines you have, the more you need to erase later on, but sometimes you just need those guidelines, don't you? Okay, so let's go to this one here, and we can go and put this in here. I've run out of space on the edge of the document camera. So I might guide this up. In fact, what I need to do is I'm just going to draw a line up this way for this one. I'm going to do this here because we need to do the guidelines of the tabs anyways. Okay, so I'm just going to use that line here to draw that so the rule is a little bit more flat. Or the template anyways, the circle template is a little bit more flat. And we draw a half circle. Yeah, using our guidelines there to tell us where to start and stop the final circle. Okay. So here we go. That's a lot better, isn't it? So we'll do it for this one as well. Whoops. Yeah, 10. Almost at 11. You just need to keep an eye out for and concentrate what circles you are using. And we'll do it for this one as well. Line this up. Okay. So that's pretty good. Okay, so now we need to measure the height of the tabs, and they are 5mm. So let's measure up 5mm from here. So 5mm, looking at the bottom here. So 5mm is actually the center of these circles, which is really interesting. So we're going to now use this the drafting machine to guide our circle template up, and making sure that it's still in the center there. Okay. Let me draw our final line there. Okay, we know that there's a 1mm thickness for this object, okay, for the thickness of the tab itself. So what you can do is, I'll put this in first, and then we'll go back and we'll measure the inner tab a little bit better. Because you'll notice in the first video that I did with isometric, I didn't exactly measure the thickness location accurately, as accurate as I really should have. All right, so naughty naughties. Okay, so we should switch across to the 8mm one, but before we do that, we should really measure up 1mm from the base of this one here. So I'm going to just put a dot. Just put a dot here, and we'll go around here too. Put a dot just there, and come around here as well. Shift that one up a little bit. And put a dot there. Bring this one down a little bit. Put a dot there as well. Okay, so that's a point there. So 8mm circle, we're nearly done. So bring this up here to 8mm. Remember, you need to have an allowance for the thickness of your lead. Now it's very hard to get it absolutely accurate, because if you want absolute accurateness in this, you should be doing this in CAD or in Adobe Illustrator, for example, is perfect for this, or even a 3D program. Okay. And realistically, in industry, if you are drawing this, then you'll open this up in Photoshop, for example, and and get the best one that you did, right? And I'm using a normal lead as well, so ideally you should be using a tech pen for this, like a tech pencil. And now we're going to draw in the top, or the sides of these tabs. Okay, I could erase these out and do them a little bit better. Okay, but for the sake of the video, I'm just going to keep a move on with it, okay? You can spend like half an hour on it. Okay, so the next thing that is left, which is the end, the other side of the object over here, to finalize those lines there. And that is, and so that there's another thing that we need to do too, and that is to find out where the base of this is. So we know that the height of this is 5 millimeters. So what we'll need to do is we need to measure down 5 mil. So come down here, measure 5 mil. From that top there, put a dot. Do the same thing here too. Put a dot just here. And over here as well. Put a dot. And over here as well. Put a dot. And then we come around with that 8 mil circle, which is over here. And I need to put in the base of our node here. So it is looking like this. So do the same for this one as well, where that dot is. Making sure it's lined up as much as possible. Put in the other side. So this is the bottom part of the tab. Bottom part of the tab here. And we'll do the bottom tab. And just one more over here. And that's it there. Cool. So that's the bottom of the tab. So that is it and set and done. Thank you. Bye.